Welcome, everybody, to the Turkish Airlines Series Podcast. I'm BJ Cunningham, and today we're stepping into one of the most important conversations in global aviation, and that's sustainability. Flying connects us. It brings families together, it opens cultures, and allows ideas to move across the world. But with that power comes great responsibility. And with every takeoff, we're choosing what kind of future we're flying into. This episode is called Building a Lighter Footprint in the Sky, and it's about how those choices are being made thoughtfully and deliberately inside one of the world's most global airlines. So whether you fly once a week or once a year, this conversation may change the way you think about what's possible at 30,000 feet. Our guest is somebody leading that change from within. Deniz Daştan is the Corporate Sustainability Management Manager at Turkish Airlines. She works across the business to embed environmental thinking into operations, partnerships, culture, and passenger experience. This is a conversation about responsibility, momentum, and ultimately hope. It's a conversation about love. So let's begin. So Deniz, welcome. Welcome to this podcast. But before we dive in, let's start light. I've got some quick questions for you. Your first thoughts, your best thoughts. What's the most beautiful view you've ever seen from a Turkish Airlines window?
Firstly, hi BJ. I can say if I were to give brief answer for this question, I can say a sunrise above the clouds I have ever seen from the Turkish Airlines windows.
Well, and I agree with you. That sunrise coming above the clouds is always it means you're flying, you're going somewhere. I agree with you. That's beautiful. Okay, so a sustainability innovation that inspires you.
I can say it must be sustainable aviation fuels. It is topic I really find interesting nowadays, actually.
And I've never heard of it. What is it? What is sustainable aviation fuel?
Sustainable aviation fuel is a lower carbon alternative to conventional jet fuels, and it's produced from the renewable or waste-based sources such as used cooking oil or other sustainable feedstocks. It can be used in existing aircraft when blended with the conventional jet fuel and helps to reduce life cycle of CO2 emissions.
Well, that's amazing, right? And okay, well, I'm sure we'll come back to this later, but that's fantastic. Now, quickly, tea or Turkish coffee?
It is really easy to me to say Turkish coffee without sugar.
That's a great answer. I'm the same, but I'm Turkish coffee with sugar.
Sugar.
Now,
Okay.
one travel habit you've changed for the planet. Give us one travel habit you've changed for the planet.
Okay. Currently, I don't use single-use plastic bottles on flights. I bring my own water bottle.
Okay, and one word for the future of flights.
Actually, it is difficult to say only one word for the future of flights, but if I must choose one of them, I can say progress.
Excellent. Okay, now let's begin. Let's get into depth. And let's begin with more about you. Can you remember the first time sustainability really hit home for you? Not professionally, but personally.
For me, it wasn't one big defining moment. It was more of a growing awareness over time. While studying environmental engineering and later on in my professional life, I started to see how systems actually work and how everyday decisions, even small ones, can make to a real impact. And that's when sustainability stopped feeling like a good intention and started to feel like a natural responsibility, both work and also life.
What first sparked your interest in this space? Was there a moment or an experience that changed how you see the world?
Actually, I like that sustainability isn't just theory, it is technical, but it is also about people's choices and behaviors. When you improve the efficiency of a system or reduce waste, you are not only creating an environmental benefit, you are also enabling better planning and better decision making. This changed my view of sustainability is not as a separate project, but as an approach that should be embedded into every decision.
And how did that interest grow into a career? And how did that lead you to Turkish Airlines?
That is a very good question, actually. Over time, I became especially interested in how sustainability is handled within large and complex organizations and how it translates into everyday operations. My background in environmental engineering helped me approach this question in more structured and analytical way, but over time, this interest became a career path in the corporate world. Turkish Airlines, as a global airline operating at the international scale, offers an environment where sustainability is closely connected to operational processes. So, my career journey here has been shaped by the opportunity to experience how sustainability creates value within day-to-day operations in a large organization.
Okay. And when you first stepped into this role, what felt most daunting, most difficult, and what gave you the confidence to actually get involved?
To be honest, when I first stepped into this role, the scale of the task was honestly a bit complex. Sustainability in aviation touches almost everything from aircraft emissions to energy use in offices, from supply chain to waste management. It is a very wide landscape. I remember thinking in those early days, where should we start? And at times, what if we don't get this right? Many of challenges weren't things you could fix quickly. They were technically complex, sometimes costly, and clearly long-term. Over time, I realized I wasn't alone in this journey. There was an already capable team in place, and just as importantly, there was clear support from senior leadership. When you move forward together, these complex goals start to feel more manageable step by step. I also keep reminding myself of something important. We are not aiming for perfection. We are aiming for progress. Taking small but consistent steps and seeing improvements month by month became a strong source of motivation for me. Everyday challenge we work through reinforced that sense of yes, this is possible. So when things felt difficult, the team's belief and our step-by-step approach gave me confidence, actually.
I understand that. I think there's something very inspiring about that. It's not about the end game, that step-by-step incremental movement towards a story is it's very inspiring. It's a great way to think about life. So let's talk about how belief turns into action. What are some of the most meaningful ways Turkish Airlines is reducing its environmental footprint today?
Today, we are taking a multiple-layered approach to reducing our environmental footprint and moving forward in several areas at the same time. Two key pillars are the fleet transformation and operational efficiency, actually. As next-generation aircraft join our fleet, we focus on improving fuel efficiency and reducing emissions intensity across our operations. On the operational side, we have been working for many years on fuel efficiency improvements, from flight planning to ground operations. A wide range of improvements come into play. Individually, this change might seem small, but at our scale of operation, they make a meaningful impact. As we actually talked at the beginning of the podcast, sustainable aviation fuel is also an important part of this journey. At Turkish Airlines, we started to use sustainable aviation fuel in 2022 on selected European routes departing from Istanbul, and since then it has been expanding in terms of both frequency and destinations. So we see it as a step-by-step transition based on today's supply conditions and the operational needs. And Beyond that, we also focus on areas passengers don't always notice, from cabin materials to waste management, using lighter and more environmentally friendly materials, reducing unnecessary weight, and cutting back on single-use products all contribute to lowering our overall impact when applied across the whole operation. The common thread in all of this is consistency.
Denise, it's incredible. You've got a real almost 360-degree perspective of Turkish Airlines through this role. I mean, you have to look across everything. I can see not only the fuel, but also the stuff that's in the cabin, everything. It's a big picture.
You are right. You summarized the situation very well. It is not only scale of the company, but it is very specific sectors, aviation. So we need implement all the operations in a sustainability perspective.
And also, Denise, you come from an engineering type background. I mean, and I guess that if you like, physical first, science first must really help with looking at this big picture.
Yes, absolutely, you are right. I am also used to work as a quality manager at Turkish Airlines before my sustainability manager role. So I learned actually how the system was established. So I know all the departments of Turkish Airlines. So it is not so difficult to establish sustainability perspective for our operations.
It's brilliant. So in a way, instead of a quality lens, you had a sustainability lens, but matched with the quality lens, it allowed you the opportunity to really see inside the organization and make changes.
Yes, absolutely right.
Then this is fantastic. Can you share a decision or a system most people would never see, but that really matters?
Yes, a large part of sustainability work actually happens in areas passengers never directly see, as you mentioned. In-flight catering and waste management are good examples of this. Planning done there doesn't affect just a single flight, it influences the entire operation. For instance, in catering, we decide what to load and how much to load on each route by looking at the past consumption data. After each flight, unused items are carefully monitored, and those insights feed into the future planning, so decisions become more balanced over time. The goal is to reduce waste while fully preserving the passenger experience. In similar way, the type and weight of materials used in catering are reviewed and adjusted over time. On their own, this change might not seem significant, but when you consider hundreds of routes and thousands of flights, they make a meaningful impact.
So, Turkish Airlines works with partners all over the world. How important is collaboration in making real progress?
When it comes to making real progress, collaboration is absolutely critical. As we all know, sustainability, especially in aviation, isn't something one organization can achieve alone. It needs bringing together the experience, knowledge, and prioritize of many different stakeholders. So, in Turkey, a concentrated example of this approach is the Turkey Sustainable Aviation Platform, founded by Turkish Airlines, Boeing, and Istanbul Technical University. And the platform provides a collaborative space where sustainable topics in aviation are addressed through contribution of the multiple stakeholders. It's aimed to share best practices, develop common approach, run education and awareness programs, and work together on issues that matter to the sector. Within this framework, joint efforts are also underway to develop roadmap proposals for areas such as sustainable aviation fuel in Turkey. I think this is where the real value of collaboration becomes clear. When everyone is facing the same question, and working on the same answer together. Ideas and solutions rest on much stronger foundations. And that creates a broader, more balanced knowledge base to tackle the real challenge of sustainability.
It's inspiring to listen to you, Deniz. I mean, particularly given Turkish Airlines is such a huge operation, thousands of employees, hundreds of aircraft, millions of customers and passengers. How do you even begin to influence sustainability at that kind of scale? How does one person, how do you, Deniz, begin to affect all of this?
To be honest, in an organization of this scale, transformation doesn't happen through the effort of a single person. Two things really make the difference. One of them is strong ownership from the senior leadership and a solid governance structure across the organization, I think. Without leadership support, it's very difficult to make a sustainability a natural part of strategic decision making. That's why we don't treat sustainability as a separate agenda item in our company. We see it as part of how we make the decisions. My role in this structure is mainly to help coordinate these efforts and support the process so it runs smoothly. But real value comes from different teams contributing their expertise. When sustainability stops being the responsibility of a single department and becomes a shared way of working, that's when it really starts to make an impact, I can say.
That's so interesting, Deniz. So sustainability within Turkish Airlines is a horizontal structure as opposed to a vertical work stream. It goes across everything.
Yes.
And you have members of your team within every department who are making sure that the sustainability story is visible everywhere.
Yes, absolutely right. As I mentioned, we have 4 different subcommittees regarding our sustainability impacts. So all the relevant department representatives attend this meeting and we all discuss about our new sustainability projects, decisions, and decide which project increase our sustainable performance altogether.
So the whole organization wins when you win.
Absolutely right.
I love that. Well, that's real progress. Win-win. Are there any moments when sustainability then and business goals, which I've just discussed, are in tension? And how do you navigate those decisions?
A good example of this tension is the use of sustainable aviation fuel. Sustainable aviation fuel is an important step from environmental perspective, but today it is still more expensive than conventional jet fuel and available in limited quantities all over the world. That makes widespread use on every flight challenging under the current conditions. We don't ignore that reality. Instead, we take a more gradual approach regarding sustainable aviation fuel. At this stage, we use SAF in specific applications in blended form, while also supporting collaboration that help increase production and scale over time. Even if we cannot fully transition today, the goal is to contribute to making SAF more accessible in the long run. In situations like this, our approach is to look beyond a single dimension and take a more holistic view. So we consider environmental impact alongside operational feasibility and long-term outcomes. We bring different teams into the conversation and aim to move forward in a transparent, data-driven way. What matters to us is not positioning sustainability against business goals. On the contrary, we focus on solutions that respect environmental responsibility while also supporting the long-term continuity of the business. These aren't easy decisions, but each time we learn how to strike that a balance little bit better.
You've put it perfectly, Deniz, striking the balance. And I think that's the incremental, step-by-step, day-by-day joint progress together with business in order to hit that balance. So now let's look ahead. Everyone listening has traveled or dreams of traveling. What's the one piece of advice you'd give us all to be more sustainable passengers? What's one thing we can all do better?
I cannot say only one thing, actually. I can say I would like to mention different actions. Firstly, I would say the simplest, but also one of the most effective pieces of advices is to travel lighter. The less weight we carry on board, the less fuel aircraft needs. On its own, that might sound like a small contribution, but when you think about hundreds of passengers, it really adds up. Personally, I have become much more conscious about keeping my luggage as light as possible and only bring what I really need. Second thing passengers can do is take part in the carbon offsetting options. Many airlines now offer ways for passengers to compensate emissions caused by their flights. With a small additional contribution during booking, you can support offset projects. And at Turkish Airlines, we have a platform, we call it S2E19, where the passenger can calculate the carbon impact of their flights and contribute to projects such as renewable energy, reforestation with just a few clicks. So, in short, reducing environmental impact of flying is partly in our hands. What matters most is being conscious and not underestimating the power of our everyday choices.
Well, absolutely right, Denise. I wish my wife, in fact, my wife, traveling lighter is something I'm always pushing, but it's almost impossible to get through, traveling lighter.
It is very normal for the woman.
Yeah, it's exactly right. But I like the way you've laid that up. We can take responsibility. We can become involved in this holistic approach. Turkish Airlines has committed to be carbon neutral by 2050. What does that journey look like in real terms?
When we talk about the distance milestones like 2050, it can sometimes sound as if everything will suddenly be solved when that year arrives. In reality, what we are talking about is a long transformation that starts today and continues over the next 25 years. It is not a single turning point, but it is a series of gradual and planned steps, I think. In practical terms, the first phase is about making the most of technologies we already have, transition to next generation, more fuel-efficient aircraft is a key part of our long-term emission reduction target. Alongside this, we focus on digitalization and optimization in our operations, working to keep fuel consumption as low as possible on air flights. And international frameworks also play a role in the journey. From 2027 onwards, the second phase of carbon offsetting reduction for international aviation scheme will begin, and mechanism to address emission from growth in international aviation will be applied more broadly. This creates a more structured, sector-wide approach to managing emissions for the aviation industry. In the medium term, sustainable aviation fuel becomes one of the most critical elements of this transition. In Turkey, discussions around SAF-related regulation are encouraging the entire ecosystem from fuel suppliers to airlines and the other stakeholders to invest in this area like us. We see this is not as an overnight switch, but as a gradual transition shaped by availability and operational reliabilities. What is important here is not to treat offsetting as a replacement for the reduction, but as a complementary tool, we think. To me, the journey toward 2050 really feels like a marathon. There will be periods of faster progress and times when the pace slows down. What matters is continuing to move forward each year, measuring, learning, and adjusting along the way. It's a long-term transition, and one that requires patience but also consistent commitment.
It's actually 25 years, you're right. It's a long way. And that step-by-step process that you keep mentioning, it sounds achievable. If you break it down into little chunks, we'll get there. It's a fantastic inspiration that you're bringing. So Turkish Airlines flies to more countries than any other airline. What responsibility comes with that reach?
Flying to more countries than any other airline is an incredible privilege. We connect dozens of cultures, bringing people together. But on the other hand, that global reach comes with a significant responsibility. In every country we fly to, at every airport, we represent Turkish Airlines, and that means our actions have a greater impact. From a sustainability perspective, when we make a change, its effects can be felt on global scale. For example, when we decide to reduce single-use plastics, that doesn't just make a difference in one place. It reduces waste across all the destinations we fly. So for me, flying to the most countries in the world also means being responsible to the world. We bring guests to every corner of the globe and engage with many different cultures. So we try to make sure our environmental sensitivity is universal, not local. In some destinations, sustainability awareness may still be developing, and we can contribute by bringing our best practices with us. In others, awareness may be very high, and we have the opportunity to learn and bring the new ideas back into our own operations.
Fantastic. One of the things I love about Turkey and it's Turkish hospitality, that deep sense of looking after people, really caring, and it shapes everything. My experience of the country, the people, the values. Does that also shape Turkish Airlines' approach to sustainability?
As you mentioned, in Turkish culture, taking good care of guests and making them feel welcome is deeply important. When we talk about hospitality, we don't just mean offering food or service. We mean making someone feel at home. That culture value is strongly reflected in the way we approach our airline operations. Hospitality is also about thinking ahead. In our culture, there is a saying that if you treat a guest well today, they will want to come back tomorrow. And for that tomorrow to exist, we also need to think about the future of our planet. Let me give a simple example. Offering food and refreshment is an important part of hospitality for us. When we prepare our in-flight catering, we try to combine this sense of care with environmental responsibility. We want to offer high-quality products, but we also pay attention to sourcing locally where possible and to the environmental impact of packaging and waste. That mindset influences the way we do business as well. And finally, hospitality is about valuing the person in front of you. Turkish hospitality is warm and heartfelt, and we try to bring that same warmth into our sustainability efforts. I believe this culture mindset, truly caring genuinely for both our guests and our environmental, continues to guide us today.
It really is second nature, that hospitality, and that idea of natural hospitality that you've just touched on. It just makes complete sense. Of course, sustainability is at the heart of Turkish Airlines thinking. What gives you hope then when you think about the future of travel?
There are many things, but what comes to mind first is the growing level of awareness and commitment around sustainability, I think. I have been working closely with sustainability for many years now. In the past, it was a topic discussed by a relatively small group, but today, it is part of a much broader conversation. I see this very clearly in younger generations. Among new generations, trainee pilots, and colleagues who are just joining the company, the sustainability is no longer seen as the secondary issue. It's becoming a natural part of how work is done. We see the same change among the passengers as well. More and more travelers notice the environmental practices on board and appreciate them and even offer feedback to us. That growing awareness makes you feel that you are not alone on this journey. And also, the industry is changing. Practices that were once treated as the competitive advantages are now being shared more openly, and collaboration is increasingly valued. When different players come together to work on shared challenges, it shows that this transformation has the potential to be lasting.
That's absolutely right. And that is absolutely full of hope. Now, there's somebody out there right now listening to us, and maybe they're working in an office or just thinking about how to live more consciously, and they want to make a real difference to the future of the planet. What would you say to them? How can they get involved, even in small ways? How can they become part of this global journey?
First of all, I would like to say thank you to anyone who is thinking, I want to make a difference. Because everything really starts with that intention, I think. And the second thing I would say is never underestimate your actions. People often think, what can I change my own? But most positive change in the world begins with small and individual steps. Using energy more efficiently at home, separating waste, choosing public transport or cycling when possible. All of these matter actually. If you work in an office, you can also create change there. Suggesting something as simple as setting up recycling bin or reducing plastic use by encouraging reusable bottles or cups can be a meaningful first step. And if you want to go further, you can get involved in environmental initiatives in your city, volunteering at tree planting events, or joining local cleanup activities. For example, no one can change everything overnight, we all know, but what matters is doing what we can, where we are. And when enough people to do that, those small actions truly add up.
I love that. So we actually all have the agency to do something. In fact, the enemy here is apathy. Doing something will make a difference if we do it. I think it's a beautiful message, Deniz. So what this conversation reminds us is that sustainability isn't a separate journey. It's part of every journey, from engine technology to in-flight service, from procurement to partnership. Everything is connected. And behind those decisions are people like Deniz making real progress, real visible progress, human progress. Imagine a world where you can travel across the planet and know you're part of the solution, not the problem. That's the direction that Deniz and people like Deniz are taking us on. That's the work being done right now. Thank you for listening to the Turkish Airlines Series Podcast. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and always, always widen your world.